there, Yifit Alice here, and here we are in Parsha's Bechukotai. And Bechukotai is the last Parsha of the book of Vayikra, the third book of the Torah. Now, Vayikra is often called the book of Kohanim. And as we saw, as we learned through the Parshas, that a lot of the Parshas deal with what the Kohanim do, their jobs, the Mishkan, and everything within it. Now, when we get to this point, in the last Parsha, we've really learned about such amazing people. I mean, we even focused on the Kohen Gadol, who is someone that I greatly admire, and someone we can all look up to. And by the time we get to the last Parsha, we might feel like, ugh, I'm not that special. I mean, I'm not the Kohen Gadol. I'm not even a Kohen. What about me? What is my value? I've learned about so many great people, but how can I apply that into my life? And what about me? And we actually learned something very, very beautiful near the end of this week's Parsha. At the end of this week's Parsha, there is a focus on the value of a person if one would want to give a donation. Basically, it would work something like this. Let's say that I'm so excited and so happy with everything that I have in my life, and I'm super appreciative that I'd like to give a donation to the temple with the amount of my value as a person, because everything that I have is thanks to God. So I want to make a donation to that respect, to that amount. Now, how does one make that calculation? I mean, is it how much you make a year? Or is it how many good things you do a year? How does one make that calculation? And at the same time, I mean, me and someone like Elon Musk make a little bit of a different salary. So are we going to take that into consideration? Are we going to take all things into consideration? How are we going to calculate that? It sounds kind of like an accounting nightmare. Now, we don't actually do it that way. And that is the beautiful lesson that we get from this week's Parsha. And the reason we don't do it is not because it would be an accounting nightmare, because I mean, as a Jewish people, we have quite a lot of accountants, but it's because we learn a very, very valuable lesson from this. Every single person at the end of this Parsha is given the exact same value. That goes to show us that, you know what? You might not be the Kohen Gadol. You might not even be a Kohen or a king or a judge or in a place of power. But that doesn't matter. You have intrinsic value. You and the Kohen Gadol are worth the same amount because you are here because the world needs you. You are special. You are you, and that means that you are the only one that can fulfill your job in the world. And there's no coincidence that it's put at the end of this week's Parsha, at the end of the book of Vayikra, because after you read about such great people, sometimes it can be hard because, yes, it's inspirational to see other people who are thriving and are doing amazing. But at the same time, sometimes it can be saddening. I mean, I'm not that great. I can't live up to that potential. And the end of the Parsha comes to show us you are you. And that's exactly who you're supposed to be. And you're doing amazing. Try and live up to your own potential, not their potential. You are here because the world needs you. Every single birthday is another opportunity to celebrate you and your existence. And every year that you are given is because you are vital to this world. You are super important. And we're prone to looking at other people and thinking, well, of course that person has value. They have so much money, so much influence. They speak so well. They know so much. And we look at ourselves and we don't see ourselves in the same way. And this week's Parsha comes to show us that you have value. Whether you see it or not, the world needs you. And you are special. Look into the mirror, take a moment, and remind yourself how important you are and how much we all need you, whether you know it or not. Shabbat Shalom.